Hi, this is Nanette Hosenfeld with the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Wednesday, June 30th, 2021. Looking at fire potential impacts for the next few days, today there is a concern for some dry thunderstorms. You can see those areas highlighted in red. Elsewhere across much of the rest of the Great Basin, we are expecting to see a mix of wet and dry storms, with mostly wet storms across the higher elevations of central and southern Utah. We will also see another day of record heat across portions of Nevada and Idaho. As we move into Thursday, we keep those thunderstorms in place. However, they will transition to a mix of wet and dry across the northern areas, and then moving into Friday, looking at things drying from the south. Over the past 24 hours, we had a fair amount of precipitation across the area, the greatest accumulation across the far southern part of the Great Basin, and a really impressive amount of lightning. Such a large amount of lightning with these storms. This is showing recent fire activity across the Great Basin. Those red dots on the map are new starts. We have quite a few, possibly from the large amount of lightning we had across the southern part of the area yesterday. Over the past 7 days, things have been a little wetter across the eastern and southeastern part of the Great Basin. You can see the image on the right showing how precipitation compares to normal. There are portions of the southern and eastern part of the area that have seen a fair amount of precipitation from thunderstorms in the area. As a result, ERCs have trended downward across eastern Utah and southern Utah and portions of the Arizona Strip. However, across the northern part of the Great Basin, where conditions have been we've seen record heat over the past few days, ERCs have really climbed in those areas. So we've kind of seen a flip to where the southern areas are now trending downwards and the northern areas are increasing. Looking at those ERC trend lines, you can see GB2 was right around normal for a while and has rapidly increased with the higher temperatures. GB32, which covers southeastern Utah, has taken a pretty impressive dip over the past week with the thunderstorms. Satellite this morning still shows that really unusual high pressure centered across the northwestern part of the country. Here in the Great Basin, we have a low pressure system overhead, and with moisture in place, we are expected to see showers and thunderstorms across much of the area today. Looking at the upper weather pattern today, again, you can see that moisture in place across the Great Basin. On our significant fire potential map, we do have a high risk out for both heat and lightning. Those lightning high risk areas are for locations that have really dry fuels and where thunderstorms are expected to be drier. And then the heat is just because we continue to see really unusually high temperatures in those areas. Looking at today in more detail, winds will generally be light. The exception is in the vicinity of thunderstorms. Gusty winds are expected near any thunderstorms that do develop. Relative humidities are quite high across the eastern and southern part of the Great Basin. Minimum relative humidities this afternoon above 25%. So even if those areas don't see precipitation, looking really good with relative humidity there. However, across the northwestern part of the Great Basin, conditions are much drier. Then looking at those temperatures this afternoon, again, another day of record heat, with temperatures well above 100 degrees across portions of the northwestern part of the Great Basin. Image on the right is showing forecast precipitation. So we are expecting the wettest storms across the central and southern part of the Great Basin, but much of the area is expected to see storms develop today. So moving into Thursday, we still do keep some moisture in place, shifting a bit to the north and the northeast. The concern on Thursday shifts to portions of central and eastern Idaho with the dry fuels and the mix of wet and dry thunderstorms. Again, winds generally light across the area on Thursday. The exception to that will be any gusty outflow winds from thunderstorms. Relative humidities decrease a little bit moving into Thursday with that lowering moisture across the southeastern part of the Great Basin. However, we do see those relative humidities come up a bit across the north. Then looking at those temperatures, generally downward trend into Thursday across the hottest areas, which is good to see. And then as far as precipitation, looking at much of the Great Basin, again, seeing those storms again on Thursday, with the driest storms expected across the northern part of the Great Basin. As we move into Friday, we still keep some moisture in place across the northern part of the area. We start to see some drier air move into the Great Basin from the south. You will notice on Friday that our significant fire potential map has no brown on it, which is due to the welcome relief coming from those thunderstorms. So looking at Friday, again, generally light winds across the area with the exception of any outflow winds from thunderstorms. And those relative humidities beginning to decrease across the southern part of the Great Basin. Still remaining hot across the northern part of the Great Basin, and expecting another day of showers and thunderstorms on Friday. Over the next 3 days, much of the Great Basin is expected to see precipitation due to thunderstorms. Some areas could see up to 3/4 or even an inch of precipitation under the heavier storms. As we move into Saturday, we still keep a bit of moisture in place across the northern part of the Great Basin. With drier, hotter conditions across the south, you can see that southern part of Nevada transitioning to the brown. Then as we move into Sunday, looking at a general drying trend going into the beginning of next week. That continues into Monday with drier air filtering into the area from the west. With that upper low pressure system beginning to move into the area, we could begin to see some enhanced winds across the western part of the Great Basin on Monday, and that would be a concern with the amount of lightning that's expected over the next few days in that drying trend. And then as we move into Tuesday, continuing to see drying conditions across the area. That upper level low moving to our north will bring an increase of winds on Tuesday. So definitely a concern to have winds in the forecast after a period of thunderstorms. Over the next 7 days, it looks pretty similar to our 3-day accumulation map. So we will see the majority of our storms through the next 3 days, but really pretty good coverage across the Great Basin. Finally, in the 8 to 14 day outlook, the Climate Prediction Center is calling for the entire Great Basin to remain above normal as far as temperatures, so no relief in sight there. As far as precipitation, looks like we could be moving into somewhat of a drier period. So that's it. If there are any questions, please feel free to contact us. Our information is on the screen, and you can also find us on Twitter. Thanks.